I wish you guys the best with your Yum Yum podcast.
Yum, yum.
Hello, Rachel.
Hello, Ryan.
How are you doing?
I am doing pretty good. How about you?
Heartbroken. My heart is broken on the floor.
I didn't think we wanted to get into that right now.
You wanted to know how I'm feeling.
Yes, but I was being polite and hiding my grief.
You were repressing. Yeah. We're both grieving. Are we grieving the same things? We'll have to find out, because we are here on our podcast, Yum Yum Podcast, the only podcast in the world that is a reference to Star Trek Discovery. Because you and I, we're a husband and wife team. Yeah, there's no other. No one else has ever done it. Only us. And can you tell me one? Exactly.
That's not fair.
That is completely fair.
No.
It is. No one can fact check us because there is none. So we
made
are
me go Marge. That's how much you've annoyed me.
What was that? Sorry.
You made me go Marge.
Oh, Marge. I thought you said you made me go March, and I'm thinking, well, you are a union woman, Rachel. You do go on marches on the occasion. You know, you do a clenched fist and raise it in the air to show that you're sticking it to the powers that be. But we are a husband and wife team who loves to... okay, Rachel wants to do fisting, as we're hearing in this discussion.
No.
You're the one doing it, not receiving it. That's what you implied. But we aren't here to do fisting today. We're here to talk about some science fiction television.
It's a fuck you day.
It's a fuck you day. Thank you, Rachel. But in all seriousness, to get real with everyone, we're a husband and wife team who loves to talk about science fiction television. Star Trek Discovery is where we started off from, where we saw a moment from it that made us so flabbergasted that we had to make a podcast covering that series. And then we've gone through so many other shows. We've done Babylon 5, Space Above and Beyond, and currently we're doing Killjoys, something that I've seen before, but only when it initially aired, and a series that is brand new to you, Rachel. And what are we looking at today?
We are looking at the episode 3 Killjoys and a Lady.
Season 5, the final season, episode 3. And what took place with these 3 Killjoys and a Lady?
Team Awesome Force escapes the lady's clutches. Or did they really? Meanwhile, Klein teaches the devil how to dance.
Ooh, I was wondering how you're going to get a meanwhile into this particular entry. Ooh, and you just effortlessly did it. And that's why we are the best when it comes to doing these summaries. That's also something that no one can contest. We looked at the IMDb once and we said, no. We're doing our own. And we've got these on Blu-ray. They don't come with descriptions. They don't come with any bonus material. I would kill for a Killjoys commentary track with the actor Fancy Lee. I want to know his opinion. I want to hear the perspective of Aaron Ashmore and why he was trimmed in this episode. Why did they...
You know why.
Michelle Lovrett is no longer the showrunner. She's not dictating that all the boys be smooth. Is Adam Barkin doing that? Was he the one that wanted the boys smooth all along? Or is Michelle still puppeting the scenes? Is she still pulling the strings?
Established precedent.
She established it and they didn't know that they could stray from it. Very, very interesting to think about. But
that leads me nicely into my Yum Yum Laugh choice. But you're going to demand that we explain this section first.
No, everyone knows what that means, because Yum Yum in Star Trek Discovery was an absurd moment that made everyone laugh. It was supposed to, but we laughed in a different way, while Killjoys is being funny, and we do tend to laugh with the show.
And anybody who has watched us reacting to this episode knows what my choice has got to be, because I fucking lost it at one line. It wasn't objectively the funniest one, But Aaron Ashmore's delivery of this line and the context of it just had me on the floor.
Yes, it did. You can literally see on our reaction to this particular episode, Rachel keel over, literally holding her sides. That's how much she was laughing. So what was this? Tell us all about this moment.
Little context. So it's at the point in the episode where they're on Lucy. They know that something's wrong and they've been dealing with the finger pointing. And they find Dutch naked.
Yes, she called them in there.
Yep. And she says to them that they need to get naked. And Johnny clocks why. But instead of saying, oh, it activates the privacy.
Oh, you don't want Lucy to hear that?
No, it's, we gotta get naked.
He says it with such assuredness. And then hard cut to all of these people naked, the boys holding pillows in different ways over their genitals.
Towels.
Oh, was it towels? I thought it was pillows with them
I'm
too.
pretty sure it was towels.
Oh, check.
Because he's like, it's like his towel's wider and
I thought it
Johnny's
was
is
one was holding it horizontally, one was holding it vertically.
Oh
I
yeah,
thought that was
it
the
is.
joke.
It is that.
Well, mine is in the same vein as that, because this episode was surprisingly horny for what is a bottle episode. This is an episode primarily following our 3 Killjoys on the ship, and they're suspicious of each other. And yet, this episode was dripping with horniness. They are going back to their roots. This is very much like season 1, where they know these actors are hot pieces of tasty, and we need to show off the skin a little bit more. And this is a laugh at the show, admittedly. That moment you're describing, that is the funniest moment in the episode. But I had continuous laughter at the short shorts that they put Hannah John-Kamen in this episode. Not only are they short, but they are leather. So they're squeaking and running around in these shorts, and these are dramatic scenes happening, but the camera just can't help but just be like, look at those buns, look at those thighs, look at those knee-high boots. And I have to admit, I wasn't strong enough not to look away. I was looking. And it got to the point of being hysterical. Just, really? We just couldn't give her normal pants? Like, these are the shortest shorts her character has worn. The only other thing that's been shorter is when she literally just wears underwear in the show, and this was just so laughable to me, but I had that laugh and it did stand out. Now, this being a smaller scale episode, that means perhaps we won't get as many of the usual things or things we hope for. So there was a lot of action here, Rachel. There was lots of running and punching and flipping and all of that, surprisingly still. But I did not see if anyone got kicked in the genitals. I did not see a nut shot or a cunt punch.
That's because there were none. And I remember at least 2 bitches.
You remember incorrectly. There's one.
Fuck!
It is one, and it's at the very beginning, but it's a
okay.
strong
Have I done that
usage.
thing where there was a bitches?
No.
No? Okay,
No, you just remembered it so vividly. This moment with the bitch at the very beginning, in which Dutch and the lady are having a little bit of witty banter. Humans so fragile, alien bitches so boring. And that was our use of bitch, but it was such a good usage of it. And who were the people that helped make this episode possible? Who were the writers of this particular episode? I said writers.
That would be Derek Robertson and Vivian Lynn.
2 writers, both of whom are people who work on the series, but mostly as script and or story editors. Derek has already written an episode before, and we've talked about him. He was in the previous season, actually. He was the one who gave us It Takes a Pillage, in which the Jacobys go back home. And Vivian has been here for quite some time, being in the background, but it's the final season, and
She
it's time for
joined
her
in
to
season 3.
Yes, and now it's time for her to join in on writing a script, and I just thought it was fascinating. I can't recall if we've had that many episodes where it's written by more than one person is credited as being written by.
No, we haven't. We really haven't. Which feels strange that we had a no clear writer credited before we had a double one.
You back from war? Because I only gave you 3 stars on the last torture. You could have had 3.8 if you quit all the small talk.
John, it's me.
David? Oh God, thank God it's you I was lying. That was like 5-star torture.
What are some things that stand out about Vivian's background, other than she's been here for quite some time tinkering around with the scripts?
She does have overlap with things and projects that we have encountered before, like SkyMed and Hudson and Rex. I found it interesting that she's gone on to create her own show.
Yes, she has Popularity Papers, which went for 26 episodes, and that is created by and written by her. Very much a show dealing with young girls who are trying to figure out what it is to be popular. And it's got decent enough ratings, and I didn't notice too much overlap with like cast or crew as much in that show with Killjoys, but something that is interesting is before she started to do work on Killjoys, she mainly did a lot of just like production stuff, just like production department, a coordinator on this, an assistant on a camera here and there for like lower budget films, mainly horror films. She wrote and directed her own little horror short that's a segment in an anthology film. And then she leaps into Killjoys, working and working and working, and then after that she's now gone on to be a writer on other shows, one-offs and occasional ones, eventually leading to her creating her own series. But she's also done a lot of producing work, I've noted down, and that's where a lot of the connections are, because some of these shows are ones that have been created or helmed by other writers or other producers on Killjoys, like Sight Unseen. She's written an episode and she does producing on, which is also handled by the previous writer that we talked about. Nicolai and her sister are the ones that co-created that, and Hudson and Rex have people involved from Killjoys, and so there is a lot of, after Killjoys was done, she's gone on to work with several other people. I mean, SkyMed is something that Aaron Ashmore is one of the lead actors of. So even though this is also, I believe, her only written episode of Killjoys, it did open up a lot of avenues afterwards, is fair to say. And in terms of an episode, what did you actually feel about it in the ways of its writing? Because it's working with much smaller scope than usual episodes.
Yeah, and I really liked it. I am a fan of bottle episodes when they are well done, and I think I really appreciate this episode at this point in the show because it's so focused in on these characters and how their experiences that we've seen, as well as even before that, have impacted them and are impacting them now.
Exactly. And there's a real steadiness to this episode. It cuts straight to the bone with, this is about these characters. We're on the ship and we're getting this sense of tension, drama, and general unease from our characters. The direction of this episode I thought was particularly good as well. We have a returning as well, Paolo Barsman, who's been here since season 1, and it seems like they give him the big episodes. Kiss Kiss Bye Bye, Enemy Klein. Like, he goes all the way through each season, and then this season I've mentioned before, but he gets pretty much half of the show to direct. So this won't be the last time we see his direction in this season, and I want to keep an eye on it because in a way he's going to be the primary big voice of what the season overall will look like here on out.
But I will say that the direction in this episode does a good job at leaning into both the strengths and weaknesses of a bottle episode. It is constrained in its locations, but it also explores new locations within the ship.
And using color as well to
To-
be not only evocative of mood, but telling us something about character. When we open the episode, we're on this sickly yellow lit scene of Dutch being tortured, and then later, every time a character is acting suspicious, or perhaps they are the one that's betraying us, there is a yellow hue or yellow beam of light that's behind them or around them, and it's not overt. If you're keeping an eye on it, you will notice, but it's in your
Also,
mind. It's a visual language thing that they have put in the episode.
The framing of characters at different points because of that conflict, they are blocked in shots together or apart or not even in the same shot.
This is what I want. This is what you want. We want an episode that is just on the ship with these characters problem solving and dealing with each other's interpersonal dramas, and perhaps a little bit of humor, perhaps a little bit of sexiness, and a lot of heart. And this delivers. Like, we've been waiting 5 seasons now, and so many things in this episode very much had that mentality of, well, we haven't done this yet. Well, we've only got a few
Now's the
episodes.
time.
Now's the time in which, spoiler, we give a glimpse of what evil Lucy is like. Or how about we tease out the idea of a spacewalk, something we haven't really done in the show, and then we aren't going to give you that because that was a ploy, and on it goes. But there is an element here that sours me so drastically on this episode, but we shall talk about that when we get there. But overall, like, I'm positive, but it's a mixed type of feeling overall.
It's not unconditional.
Exactly right. So where do you want to start?
I would like to start at the beginning, which is them escaping the lady with the help of Klein.
Yeah, the lady has them captured. She's already been torturing them, already been trying to ply them for information.
We aren't exactly certain how much time has passed.
A very tricky thing that they've done for themselves, which is the lady has nothing to use against them here. Like, they don't know the information. We know that they don't know. They know that they don't know. And she does on a level as well. And so she can't really do anything to the characters. And more importantly, the portrayal of her in front of Dutch is one of such petulant vulnerability that she's not at all intimidating to them.
No. It's just like, you can't threaten them. And I like the way that Dutch points that out in her own way by saying, well, then why am I still alive? Why am I still breathing?
And they discuss it later too, of if she's still asking these questions, she doesn't know the answer, so don't give her any means to find it, because clearly she doesn't know. And why I say it's risky is you want your antagonist, especially one that's been built up since basically the beginning of the series, to be cunning, ruthless, intelligent, competent, someone to fear, someone that the heroes have struggle overcoming, and none of that is really present here. She's just captured them, like, that's it. But she doesn't really have anything to use against them in this moment.
No. And it's interesting to have her at this point. But that's also why it's like, well, it makes sense for her to do a play to let them loose and see what she can shake out, because the torture isn't working.
And she, for someone who's absorbed so much over the many
She still
centuries,
doesn't get humanity.
And she's not really that clever of a tactician either. Like, this is where I come down, and I'm wanting to also know your opinion. I am very disappointed with the lady because we've had her be built up, we've had her be an interesting antagonistic force, but now that she's physically here, she's so vulnerable, so desperate, so pathetic, but not in a way that's at all intimidating or scary to me. And so there's a bit of me that's lacking when it comes to the momentum of what our heroes are going through because, I don't know, I feel like they've had to face off against more scary foes before.
Agreed. It's a difficult thing to balance of having the big bad be so bad that they are more difficult to deal with and a greater threat than anything that has come before them, but not impossibly evil so that you wouldn't feel like it's realistic or earned if they do lose.
I am coming to this realization even more and more that the lady is more effective of a character when there is no character there. When they are concerned,
when she's the idea and
yes,
the threat,
and when her actions are playing out against Team Awesome Force, like a majority of this episode is them concerned that they have been infected by her and maybe they are possessed by her and they don't know it, and maybe the other people are working against us. But then when they open the doors and the lady's standing there with her hands clasped and looking like a disappointed little schoolgirl, it doesn't hit in any way like the rest of the episode does, or as we've discussed in previous episodes, the things that she's already put into motion and how they've affected our characters is much more interesting to discuss than actually the lady herself, where she's just someone who screams a lot.
I knew you would try to help them escape. In fact, I counted on it.
Then, well played. All of it.
Except it wasn't, in the end.
They're a difficult team to control. I know.
We do get some information that the Hullen don't exist anymore, that these agents are just people now, that they don't have the healing factor anymore, that the once great big existential threat that the series was dealing with is made inert now. And that's something we were questioning at the end of last season of, okay, if the green is gone, what does that mean? Like, does that mean the green within people is gone, or is just the green pools are gone? And now we have that answer. And what do you think that looks like for the show at large? Because we've had characters in which that's been their identity, or that's been something that they've been driven by or needing.
It feels more like they're closing off that avenue, that aspect of the plot, so that we're more focused in on the things that we are getting, and that is the Team Awesome Force versus the lady. So they need to have succeeded in some way, so that's they actually got rid of the green. It didn't have the outcome that they desired, but they got that.
It does also feel in the grand scale of the series that the green was becoming too powerful, too strong of a presence. It had so many applications, and just the Hullen themselves being these invulnerable monsters, you have to tidy that up by the end, and I think that's a part of what's gone on here. And now you make it that the lady is just, through sheer willpower, keeping charge by brainwashing people and just threatening people with her power.
It's dull.
And Rachel, we get more answers, more explanation, more lore on the lady. what her big plan is, what's happening there.
She's cloning herself, and that's why she could feel the hatchlings like being set on fire by Dutch's lovely flamethrower last episode.
Yeah, so she's not, because she's the last of her species, the only way she could really reboot the species is to make new ones, but she's incapable of that, so she's cloning herself. And as they rightly point out, is the more you clone a clone, the more defects, the more problems there are. It's a photocopy of a photocopy. But even then, if you're having clones, they can't reproduce.
No.
Because of the same problems.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if this is a gendered species and who knows how they reproduce, they might not be able to do it naturally anyway. So, like, you're forever going to just have a clone army. So, in the long run, how are you actually sustaining any culture? You're not. You're in the same place she was in the Green, which is you are perpetually stuck in this zone of being the last of a species, a last of anything, and a memory of a memory of a memory, in a way.
Mm-hmm. But she's not willing to give up. She spent centuries being alone. So even the idea of somebody else being like her is enough. It's unsustainable. And there is an end to that process. And it sort of not exactly mirrors, but I guess echoes the way that the Nine dealt with their problems of kicking the can down the road. Well, we know that they're going to come back at this point. So we'll say that we're going to, give all of the people who work, the families who work hard enough, land and a way out of indentured servitude.
The thing that we discussed many times over with Dulcea was she wanted to achieve long-term goals, but she was always very brash and drastic with her short-term actions. And that's been something that we've seen time and time again, even with the lady, someone who's been patient, someone who's been slowly working at this for centuries. Now she's out in the real world and she doesn't know what to do with it because she wants Jack. She wants his body. And this was something that was a bit of an eyebrow raise for me, at least the way they theorized about it in this episode of she wants his body because since he is both human and Hullen, he can sustain in different atmospheres, while her original form, the hatchlings, have to have a specific type of, atmosphere and environment to live in. And that's why she wants Jack. That's why they've made this hybrid process be. And I don't know. Does that track with you? Does that sound right?
It does and it doesn't. Like, that's not where I thought that it was going, and it doesn't feel particularly interesting or rewarding.
It's much more small scale. Like, and again, this is what they theorize. We don't know fully if that's the end all not be all because Jack has like superpowers.
So, yeah, but it's like, is that an unknown consequence of it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird because Jack has future sight and different little things going on. You would expect, like, oh, that was going to be something that the lady needed.
Yes. But it also feels like that sort of cutesy sci-fi thing of the chosen one has foresight and the enemy has hindsight.
Oh, far out, man. That's so clever.
I bet you didn't clock that one, Ryan.
Did you clock that if you kill the lady, her hatchlings will die, probably? That's something that they floated out there as well.
Well, there'll be no source to clone.
Yeah, exactly. All of this talk, Rachel, Now it's out of the way, we can finally sink our teeth into something that we've been craving, which is a bottle episode. And why have we always wanted this from this series? And I think it's fairly simple, which is Killjoys has done a lot with very little. The budget is small, and they have these hurdles to jump over, but Killjoys has managed to go about so many different story types that we see in science fiction with their own spin. We've had a body swap episode in this series, for Christ's sake, to this intergalactic war story, and yet we've never had what you usually get in a series that has limitations, which is an episode in which you strip it all away and you have characters in a room or in one set. Babylon 5 had so many great episodes like that. Space Above and Beyond had episodes like that as well. And even to some degrees, we got that with even modern Star Trek will on the occasion throw you a bone like that. But Killjoys never really has. And now it's here. We both like it. But what about it really works?
It works for me because I enjoy these kinds of episodes when they are done well and with purpose, and it's not so obvious that it's just for a budget constraint reason, because that's one of the main benefits of these types of episodes is that it does reduce the overhead costs.
Yes.
That is just a fact of bottle episodes.
But then it forces creativity.
Yes. And it forces character interactions. And you still need a conflict. So you either need to tie it into the past or the future. And this really neatly does both.
Still don't trust me?
Weird quirk. I don't trust people who point guns at me.
I'm not someone who locks someone else in an airlock.
Johnny,
Really not a good time, Luz.
I have an idea. You always say you can't trust people, but you can trust science.
Sounds like something you'd say.
Nice to see you still sound like a dick.
We get to see new sides of Lucy, the ship. We live on this ship, we've been on this ship, but I feel honestly that after all of this time, I still feel very unaware of the space that these characters live in, because we are so often on some other place running and gunning and doing some kind of job that we do spend time in Lucy, but it doesn't really get to be as much of a home as I expect it to be after all of this time. And so this episode kind of forces you to be like, here's the engine room, here's their bedroom, here's this hallway, here's this place that you've seen before, but now it's shot at a different angle, so you really get a sense of how different the space is to what you've seen before.
And it's so fun to experiment with such a familiar place. Like, it was reminding me in some ways of the episode of Breaking Bad, The Fly, because that establishes the parameters and why they are being contained within this location. And it is one that we've spent more transitory time in.
I respect that this episode not only exists for all of the reasons we're saying, but it's a huge middle finger to certain sections of the viewer out there. Because like with The Fly, for instance, that's a very contentious episode of Breaking Bad. But it's a huge middle finger to certain viewers, especially in a final season, to have an episode like this, because so many people will just be like, no, I want to get to the next big plot beat. I want to get to the next big action sequence. I want to see them do a job. There are many viewers of Killjoys out there who have a real dividing line of loving the first half of the show because it's the bounty hunter show where they do odd jobs. and the other sections in which we like these ongoing storylines and the character stuff. And I love that this show has the balls to have this episode exist, place it right here, and say, yeah, we're wrapping up, and we're still going to do this. We're going to put the brakes on.
This is worth your time. This is worth our time.
Yeah, you've got to just commend the fact that they followed through on this, even if certain people out there don't want this type of episode in this type of show. Because at the end of the day, it's a real creative outlet, and some of the things work and some
reason
of them don't.
Why maybe it's in the final season.
Exactly, and some of the creative and character things are really effective here. Some of them are not. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the thing that makes this episode really hard to love.
Should I read out my note verbatim?
Yes.
Johnny and Dutch romance teases fucking bullshit, and I would like to return it, please. That was my note.
Yes, so Johnny's
fucking bullshit.
Johnny's got some feelings for Dutch, whether it's residual from his life that he just lived or something that's awoken in him. But nonetheless, the drama is Johnny is infatuated with Dutch and can't tell her, so he's going to do some bullshit.
And having flashbacks to their false life together.
And giving her longing looks and stuttering, and it's bullshit. Just fuck off.
And everybody can tell that it's weird, and he keeps on saying no. And then he says yes, but not for that reason.
Yes, let's just focus in this moment on the here and now of it, which is Johnny being in love with Dutch in the episode itself is annoying because it's the classic thing of characters have drama because they won't say the thing aloud, even though everyone knows it.
Yeah.
One of the least interesting forms that you can take.
So tiresome. And, like, everybody has had their share of it. But I think we find this so egregious because we have praised their platonic relationship over and over and over again.
That's the key of it, but also it's incredibly egregious, especially in comparison to other moments in the show where characters have gone through similar type of conflict in which they won't say the thing aloud, because this feels artificial and it was manufactured just to have this drama.
Because it's the last season.
And not only that, but because, well, we've got to have something. We've got to have some kind of thing between Johnny and Dutch, because every season there's something between Johnny and Dutch and Davin and Dutch and Davin and John. Like, there's always something between the three of them. But there isn't anything to have between them. So how about Johnny has this unrequited love bullshit going on, and it does feel incredibly fake. Not only because of what you said, which is the thing that really matters, is we like them being platonic. The series has gone out of its way to not do this before. But if they are doing it, it does not feel earned because it was just set up in the last episode. It was just like this season. It exists in this season, really. This is not something you can go, well, Johnny's somewhat felt this in the past. Not really. Not at all. It's because, would you say it's because he has, if you're going to be charitable, do you actually believe this is being played up as, oh, it's just the residual memories of the life before, or do you think that's woken something within him in which he's like, I actually like Dutch?
I really don't want it to be the latter. I'm fearful that that will be the case, that it is going to be, that now he's seen what it could be like, he wants it. But also in this version, their marriage was falling apart.
But now it's the real him. Maybe it could work. Why do this? Why do this? One of the unique aspects of the series as a whole has been the Johnny Dutch dynamic. And a major part of it, not a minor, not just a fleeting thing, not just an incidental, but a huge core part of why it works is we haven't indulged in this type of bullshit.
No.
So why do it? Why do it?
I don't know. I guess they couldn't resist any longer.
real question for you. Do you think that this is a case of online interference, of fans, of or responding to how fans are?
Maybe they were just like, well, it's a stone that we haven't turned over, so we've got to.
Again, it's just they've waited so long. And it's done in the most arbitrary fashion, in my opinion. Like, that's the thing that fucking kills me, is you watch this episode and you go, oh, they're playing this card because there's no reason for Johnny to be untrusting of Dutch. There would be no reason for why he wouldn't side with her all the way through the episode.
Mm-hmm.
You need him to have some little thing that makes him rub up against her, and it's because he's got a boner for her.
But he wants to rub up against her.
Like, it's not. That's the thing too. Maybe this is just me reading into the episode and how Aaron Ashmore plays it, but it's not just he's romantic for her. I feel like there is a sexual edge to it in this episode. I just don't like that. I don't like that either. Like,
I'm more annoyed at the romance because they've both acknowledged each other as hot.
Yeah. They're not blind. But yeah, it's just... But the show knows that it's not right because these last 2 episodes we've discussed all of this, and literally Dutch, when she has these memories of them being friends, it makes her disgusted that they're kissing.
You said friends.
No, because she has memories of them being friends. So when they're kissing, she's like, ew, no.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Dutch knows, and the show knows to a degree, but now it's just like, oh, but Johnny has these feelings. And it's like, okay, real talk. Again, what does this lead to in the long run? In your opinion, what does this lead to? At best, Dutch gives him an easy, oh, it's not meant to be, and Johnny's just sad again? Like, Johnny suffers again?
Johnny must always suffer. Johnny must always lose the women he loves.
I would love to hear from any of our listeners out there. Leave a comment, email us. Do you like this? Were you people who shipped Johnny and Dutch? Were there actually, I mean, I know there is, but genuinely, were there actually people who wanted this? Like, wanted them to have a romantic plot in any way? Because I just can't wrap my mind around that, because what they have had going on is so brilliantly done and compelling.
So much more interesting.
Dutch isn't the only one who could tell when you've been lying. John. Lucy.
Davin knows it too. He tries to get Johnny to talk about it at the end, and Johnny gets interrupted or doesn't want to, and we have to drag this out more. We have to and that's another thing too. Like, why it sucks so bad is it's drawn out. You know that, oh, they're gonna milk this. Is this gonna be a thing for the season? Right? You don't want that.
Don't scare me like that.
Yeah. How about I bring you down even more into the muck, which is the real traitor is Lucy. I have to say that was the most clever thing in the episode because of how the other episodes have built up to this. We were wondering...
this is really the part of the episode when I said that I fucking loved it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the part that I actually fucking love.
Because in the previous episodes, Lucy was unaffected. She was awake. She was fine. But that does not mean that's wholeheartedly true. And what we see in this episode is Lucy has been infected by a virus, and she is working against them, and she's making it so that they try and find Jack and turn against each other in the process. And so she's sabotaging, she's lying, she's doing all of these little things. And when we were watching this, when we were looking at it in our reaction, and you can see that reaction on our YouTube and Patreon, you can see that both Rachel and I, but since I've seen this episode before, but mainly Rachel, you were swept up in it. You're like, wow, okay. And then when they start to reveal, oh, it's Lucy, there was a genuine moment of like, oh, I didn't even consider that she could be involved in this. And then they say she is the 4th member of Team Awesome Force. So why was Lucy never a suspect? And it's because in the long play of the series, they've done such a magnificent job of being consistent with making Lucy a presence in the show, but always on the back burner.
Yeah, she is a part of the team, but because she's not a person, she gets overlooked.
She's a program that's running in the background, making sure that everything runs smoothly, so you don't really think about it.
No.
But you know the program's there because everything's working.
And like Johnny in particular talks things out with Lucy.
That's his true love, is Lucy, and Lucy loves him.
We've consistently praised what they've done with Lucy and how they've developed her as a character. And this feels like such a rewarding and devastating way to have a character end. Because it is her death, and they bring back the actress.
And they make a point that it's the, like, hey, remember that episode where we had a robot body and she programmed herself into it? So in this moment, she gets a hologram of that so that she could have a face-to-face with Johnny for one last time.
And it had to be Johnny there. It had to be Johnny.
And Johnny had to push the button. He had to
And
end Lucy.
he really doesn't want to. He really doesn't want to.
And you don't want it either. You got teary-eyed when we were watching that. And did you see that coming?
Once they revealed that it was Lucy, I knew that she wasn't going to make it out alive. Because that has been consistently something that this show has done. They're continually bringing the fight closer to home. And I think I mentioned last season at one point, like it's got to get more into Team Awesome Force, but I think I only talked about the fact that it was like out of the main trio, like which one of them's going to die, because
And Zeph as well.
not everybody's going to make it out alive, and now that is true.
They've given the right amount of effort into this character in which by the end, here we are, and we're talking about them in such a way that they are as profound as any of the main characters of this show. I mean, we've always had these great little discussion points about how human or how sentient is Lucy. How much of it is she is just a computer program, but she is special. And so when we are met with this part of the story in which now Lucy is shut down, she's taken away, it really is impactful, and it actually matters to not just Johnny, who is her friend and loves her and has some connection to her, but us, the viewer at home, because Lucy has always been there in some way, and now she won't be.
Yeah, we've lost her, and that's a really big thing that happens in this episode. But it also does a pretty darn good job at checking in on things and teeing up things. Like we mentioned the Klein thing, but Dav also figures out a short list of where Jack and Dulcea have gone.
Because he is that driven, yeah. Yeah, like they do a good job of teeing things up for future episodes, but they keep it to what we're doing here and now. And I have to say as well, and I don't know if this impacted you, of with this scale and the stakes of the episode, you're not expecting for a character to die.
No!
You're not expecting for the reveal to be as big as it is.
It's not the penultimate episode. What is this?
Yeah, you're not expecting the reveal to lead to such dire circumstances. But also, the lady needs to have some real, like...
She's got to have bite.
She's got to have bite, and this is a form of it. This is a form of it. Of to her, she's just this is another part of my manipulation. I've fucked around with their computer. It's fine, but to the characters and to us, Lucy's not just the ship's computer.
No, she's so much more than that.
I thought one of the great touches that really sold Lucy is her appearing as a hologram, and then when she is effectively killed,
the
the hologram,
effect.
the wipeout of the hologram effect, it was really well done, and it
Not
hit.
too
It really hit.
cheesy, but
No, not at all. Not at all.
it is sentimental.
We come to a close with this episode.
They're captured again because they were never really not.
Klein has now found himself as the right hand to the lady and a mentor figure to her, because she doesn't know what the fuck she's doing, because she hasn't gotten any progress. They don't know. And Klein says, they don't know. So what are you going to do about that? And she goes,
He teased them up to go to prison.
Yes. And he suggests you use them as a lure for what you're actually after, because people will come for them that we want. So how about you take them somewhere where we can then get the people who want them? And it's like, that's classic Klein.
Abso-fucking-lutely. That is the genuine advice that he would give.
Yes. And the lady takes that advice and she throws them in the Supermax.
Which we have heard about many a time.
I'm pretty sure in the first episode we hear about it as well. So
Things
that's neat.
are being delivered on.
And what do you make of this ending and what it gives us for the future of the show?
I really like it because it's basically like the cops being sent to prison.
Oh, I'm sure it'll work out real great for the former RAC agents to go to the jail.
Because they've talked about the people that they sent away.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might have also been back in season 1.
Yeah, they've had to go to like the local jails and how uncomfortable that is for a RAC agent. Now imagine going to the Supermax one, which is who knows
is that
where...
are they also being controlled and programmed by the lady, or is it just people being people?
We see them at the end, like these guards with their ultra militant, scary uniforms, and they march
Look like
in a
something
rhythm.
out of Tron Legacy a little bit.
Yeah, they look like evil, like a more scrappy looking Daft Punk group, and we have no faces. There's no one with a face there at the end of this episode. There's no prison guard that walks up and says, it's just
no
these
porn stash.
Yeah, there's no porn stash. There's no warden from Shawshank Redemption there to twizzle his glasses and be like, you're mine now. No, there's just this unflinching, faceless
blank
terror.
void of authoritarianism.
I don't need to find Jack. I have what he wants.
You just need to reel him in. So, I live another day.
I'm not bored of you, Klein. Yet.
On our rating system of Yum being bad and Yum being good, where does Three Ladies and a Killjoy... Three Ladies, far out. Where does this episode fall?
This episode still ends up being a yum yum. Yum yum. There are parts that I really didn't like and I had a visceral reaction to. But the good outweighs the bad.
That is the real tricky thing to land on for me. Does the good outweigh the bad? Because that bad is devastating. It's not just, in this episode, like in the scope of the whole show, it's devastatingly bad. So, is this episode yum or yum yum? I give it a tentative yum yum.
Yum yum.
But I can see that by the end of the season, if we look back on it and see how the Johnny romance with Dutch thing plays out, and if we're still unhappy with it, this could go down to a yum, because this is the one where it kicks it off.
Yes. Yeah.
I still stand by the way, all of the discussions we had in the last 2 episodes about their romance stuff, because that's how those episodes played them. By the way, like those episodes played up the fact that it knew it was wrong, and both of them did. I don't think we were reading too much into that. I think that's just how it was being played.
Said this in the reaction, but I really hope that it's more he is mourning the loss of that life, not that life with Dutch.
Are you curious to know what the name of the next episode is?
Straight up, I am.
Okie dokie. So next time we shall be talking about Season 5, Episode 4, Ship Out of Luck. Yeah, so having very fun titles in this particular series. So what do you think will be happening in the 4th episode?
I think they're going to be shit out of luck. But with it being ship, I am wondering, because it's like, well, Lucy is not Lucy anymore. So is it still going to be talking about her? Is she the ship?
Or is the Supermax a ship?
Yeah.
Because that's what it looked like at the end.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, that's probably right, though. Like, there's no luck on this ship, so.
But what is actually happening in the next episode? What are your predictions?
I think that they're going to be dealing with people from their past.
What people?
I don't know. I don't know exactly. I don't want to dig through my memories of things and be like, oh, maybe it's going to be this obscure person or that. Like, I'm excited to see how they play in this playground.
So, do you have any thoughts on any other big story elements, other characters, anything outside of Team Awesome Force?
I do think we're going to check in on Zeph.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that's going to work, though. Like, what?
Because she doesn't remember anything.
What's going to be the pull back to Old Town?
Mm-hmm.
And like, what's happening with Pre?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they didn't take him. Did they drop him back in Old Town? Put him just back as a
Killjoy?
Killjoy?
Will he be a guard at the prison?
Do you think that we will touch base with Anila, Delsea, Jack, any of that side of the story that's still been left blank?
I hope so, but I don't think so.
You think they're going to push that back some more?
Yes.
I mean, it's a thing.
Delsea more likely than Anila.
Yeah, because she's already appeared. So yeah, okay, well,
and they touch base with where Jack and Delsea might be in this episode.
What do you think is happening with Anila? She's the one where we don't know anything.
I don't know. I'm really not sure.
Because the last you predicted was she left the red box in the first episode. That was your proposition of what played out there. It was Anila. But we haven't had anyone even question that, raise that up at all. No one knows what's happened to Anila. Everyone just went, oh. We'll have to wait and see. That is it. Rachel, please tell people where they can find us and how they can support the pod.
They can find us on their social media of choice under yumyumpod or yumyumpodcast. Patreon is where you can get extra content and access to a private Discord server.
That is correctamundo. It means so much to us that you have given us your time and listened along. Thank you all for that, and we hope that you continue your journey with us through Killjoys. We will be back next time to talk about that 4th episode, but until then, let's think about this. I know this is a difficult one to just throw at you, Rachel, but what is your favorite Lucy moment? Yeah, I think we talked about this in the reaction.
I think I'm going to say the same thing, which is her kissing Johnny in the sparks flying.
And I think I'm going to say the same thing again, but it still stands true, which is that. But also, let's give a just big round of applause for great characterization of Lucy early on with her saying she doesn't play favorites, but she clearly does. Also calling Johnny Thief just as her little pet name.
Oh, and that being the last thing that she said.
Her thief.
Bye.